a Miami frat shut down. Why? Vile chants. Here it is.
Yo, 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 we dig her up every now and then, yo, we dig her up every now and then, there was some can't get in, get out some yo.
Let's put up the crowd shot full mass. I'm gonna tell you exactly what you just saw. On October 1st, Sigma Phi Epsilon, Florida Gamma chapter, held an off-campus adult swim party when his members began chanting about basically necrophilia to the tune of Disney's popular Pirates of the Caribbean song titled Yo Ho. Members were allegedly also drugging drinks with a white powder substance. What could that have been? It also made women vomit at the party. You see, that's a felony charge right there for those who did that to those drinks. The chapter at the University of Miami dates back to 1949 and was designed to encourage a safe, healthy, and positive experience at the University of Miami. The video shows a crowd chanting a song about digging up a woman who's dead and having sex with her repeatedly, okay? The anonymous report sent to the national headquarters also includes a line about keeping the victim in a wooden box. It's all very disturbing, is it not? On the complaints of drugging drinks, Abby, a female party goer, recounted, and I quote, "Me and my other friends had like white powder in our drinks. I hadn't seen that before." She first considered other possibilities than being drugged. Initially, Abby thought the white powder could have been foam from carbon dioxide cans that were sprayed at the party, but she wasn't certain. Later, after the party, Abby heard from other female partygoers that they suspected they were roofied or knew someone who thought they were. She concluded, and I quote, "They had never felt that sick, but they didn't think they drank that much to get to the point where they were throwing up a lot." Another partygoer who wished to be known as Mary in fear of retaliation from her sorority, okay? From her sorority, described a similar account. We got the info. She described one text which recounted a female attendee discovering white powder in her drink after turning away from her cup. According to Mary, several other sorority members shared through their group chat that they experienced something similar and warned their sorority sisters to be careful. Mary says she later heard about a female partygoer vomiting uncontrollably and having difficulty staying awake after consuming only a few drinks. There was a report attempted, and they said it was blown out of proportion. But let me say this before I go to the next part of the story. To all of those students, if you think you are a good student, a good person, your parents raised you right, and you don't like what you see, you don't like what happened. If you sit back and say nothing, if you allow this to go down under your watch at that campus, you are in charge of that campus. You are the community that makes that campus what it is. Not the teachers, not the professors, not the TAs, not even the president, you, the student body. If you do nothing with this type of massive injustice, you are just as guilty as the person who did it. Now, I know other people will tell you different. I will tell you the truth. Your silence makes you a co-conspirator here. There's more. One former frat member tried to say the incident was blown out of proportion. I am upset. I am upset that the hurricane, as some tabloids ran with the unconfirmed comments about alleged drugs and roofies, which the school found to be untrue. The fraternity was not drugging people. I think if, God forbid, someone had been drugged or harmed, that is a totally different situation. And it probably would have come to light by now from the police or the hospital or the school. You think so? Well, that's not according to data that we have when it relates to violent assaults, violations of women on campus, they try to hide it. We have the records. We know what they do. According to Heather Matthew, Chief Communications Officer for the fraternity, she said, and I quote, the Sigma Phi Epsilon's National Board of Directors unanimously decided to revoke the charter of the chapter at the University of Miami. The national headquarters received admissible information that their members did in fact violate policy and engage in actions that are not aligned with the values of this fraternity. You see, frats have a way of conducting their own investigations and getting to the bottom of a matter. Now, I would say this, for those who did investigate on this board, if you have information of a student being violated because of criminal conduct by one of your members, let's go ahead and do the right thing here. Accountability has to be applied. We expect the organization, chapters, to provide their members and campus community a safe and supportive environment. That's the cornerstone of a positive fraternity and university experience. So we take that expectation seriously and hold our chapters to that standard. At the time of the article's publication, the Dean of Student Affairs website still recognizes that chapter in good standing. Okay, so to the university, update your damn website. However, in a statement to the Miami Hurricane, Senior Vice President for Student Affairs, Patricia Whitley, confirmed that the Florida Gamma chapter has officially closed. What can the victims do per university policy? All right, here's what they can do. Because UM has pledged to apply its sexual misconduct policy to any situation involving students, including off-campus locations, victims can pursue action. Students can file a report through the Dean of Student Office, the website, or contact information is there. And it's one of the chapters, UM's It's On Us chapter for resources. The reporting process is also confidential. So I encourage anyone, please make sure when you get the opportunity, you have the information, get the opportunity, go online, make the complaint happen. That complaint is logged as a paper trail. All right, once again, Ben, we're in a situation where obviously something happened. Everybody's not lying, all right? There's something here. The issue is the fact there's no exhaustive or aggressive investigation. It seems as if they were more aggressive about coming out and either dismissing the chapter or saying how this was not a confirmed incident. One or the other. Not an investigation, however, that has been rigorous. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the unfortunate reality is we see stories like this all the time. And why do we see stories like this all the time? And I kind of want to tie it into broader narratives about colleges in general, because a lot of people will point to the income disparities that exist between people who've gone to college and people who haven't, especially with like big Ivy League universities like Yale, Stanford, whatever. But we need to understand that the big thing that rich students get out of a university comes from these frats. That fundamentally what they get more than anything else that helps them in life is rich friends. And so like this whole frat boy culture that exists within the United States quite literally is like a staple of institutional power. And it is the way that a lot of people who are in positions of power in the United States sort of get their mindset for how to operate. It is quite literally like the breeding ground for the good old boy system. And so fundamentally, what these students are experiencing, this systemic violence, right? Even those things like those chants are about normalizing sexual assault. They're about creating an environment where things like that can be treated as a joke. Right, things like that can be treated as a joke, and they all play cover for each other. And even the bigger institutions around them see the institutional relationship that frats have with the rest of society after people's life in their frats, and they want to actively participate and cover for each other. And so fundamentally, I think there's a much larger conversation needs to be had about whether or not fraternities in general are serving any type of benefit to society.
All right, well said.